Yeah. We should have TYT Venezuela breaking down the political ads in Venezuela.
We'll get our Caracas Bureau on it.
That clip was taken from a video called "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised," which I specifically urged Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks to watch, because it appears that he's still uncertain as to which way Venezuela's going, and the TYT as a whole perhaps he's a little uncertain, and the TYT Nation possibly is a little uncertain as to which way Venezuela's going. And so I wanted to, one, take the opportunity of mentioning this video, which I think all interested people should watch. You'll learn a lot, and it's on YouTube, and so feel free to search for "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised." Maybe call it Chavez Inside the Coup. Don't get it mixed up with Gil Scott-Heron's "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised," the music, although that's brilliant as well. I urge you to listen to that. But the DVD is a documentary about Chavez in 2002 and the coup and the resistance to the coup, etc., etc. So I encourage you all to watch it. But anyway, this video is not really about the revolution will not be televised. I understand from listening to Cenk and the TYT and being a long-term viewer and supporter of the work they're doing, I understand that some of you are confused about Venezuela and whether it's going in the right direction. Don't worry, I understand that you live in the heart of Satan, and therefore any news you hear is usually filtered through corporate machines who regularly misrepresent and deceive. I know this because I live with Satan's smaller brother, Britain. We have similar difficulties. So therefore, I offer, free of charge, the services of the newly formed Bureau of TYT supporters in Caracas. We will send regular reports relating to the upcoming presidential elections on the 7th of October 2012, and amongst this we'll show the lies of the big corporations and their lackeys. I was watching a video here from one such lying lackey, which we should have a listen to here.
Dangerous actions of Hugo Chavez.
My assignment will be to focus on a clear and present danger rising in our own hemisphere, a danger that extends its strength and reach every day, a danger that this administration, like previous administrations, has not fully understood. I'm talking about Hugo Chavez and his campaign to destroy freedom and democracy throughout Latin America.
Well, I think we could probably leave that as that. When you've got political representatives such as that, it's hardly surprising that honest and principled people in America still, and in Britain and elsewhere, still not necessarily have all the relevant information in order to make an informed decision. So the TYT supporters Caracas Bureau is here to address that deficiency. So firstly, I suppose I better give you a better understanding of the nature of the TYT supporters Bureau in Caracas. Do you have a General Commander of the Armies of the South at all, Cenk? I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying, you know. There's, anyway, the Bureau is based in my house. And, how shall we say, I live in Britain. So you might think, well, hang on then. Is that worth the price of salt? And it may or may not be, other people will have to decide. But firstly, let me give you a bit of background as to why I feel I can contribute a little bit of information which may be useful. I mean, by trade, my profession is a nurse. I've been a staff nurse for over 20 years, and I left nursing in 2008 to do some other more progressive and campaigning and trade union work over recent years. But my last job was as a senior staff nurse on intensive cardiac critical care. And so that's my background and profession, as it were. I don't have any expertise in politics or international politics or history or Venezuela or Latin America. My approach is as an interested citizen of the world who wants a bit of, fairness and justice in the world, and happy to help fight and organise for that as with other people. And so it's in that context really I'm just making this video. So this video is going to address a narrow question really of, will the Venezuelan elections of 2012 be fixed? Well, why would I raise this question in the first place? Ever since Chavez first got elected in 1999, members of the opposition, media and others have either inferred or stated explicitly that Chavez is a dictator and fiddling the elections, amongst many other things. This propaganda was used, amongst others, to justify the US-backed coup in Venezuela in 2002, a coup which was overthrown in 3 days by millions of ordinary Venezuelans demonstrating and resisting that coup. Will 2012 be any different in relation to all relevant political figures accepting the legitimacy of the results? When asked, will you accept the election results as announced by the National Electoral Council, the leader of the opposition in Venezuela merely replies he will accept the decision of the Venezuelan people. The fact that the Venezuelan people have chosen the National Electoral Council as the method by which all will be informed seems to pass him by. So let's see if the concerns expressed or implied by the national and international media regarding the integrity of Venezuelan democracy holds water. Firstly, here are some details of the method of voting. Some of these may raise concerns to some progressives in the US and Britain at first, particularly since your experience is under Bush. However, I do not believe these apply to the Venezuelan context at the moment. Firstly, every citizen has to have an ID card. Compulsory ID cards have been part of Venezuelan law since 1938. The country as a whole, I think, has accepted this practice, and no groups really on the left or the right oppose their use. So national compulsory ID cards are a sort of a standard part of the society really. The voter during the election must take their ID card to the polling station. They show their ID and give a thumbprint on a machine there. This thumbprint is to check that you're on the electoral register. Again, that issue may flag a concern to progressives who think thumbprints, identification, voting, hang on, could that be, slightly dodgy? And because obviously you don't want individual thumbprints associated with individual votes for the purposes of knowing which way a person voted. So I think the secrecy is paramount, and the system is set up in such a way that all the thumbprint is checking is the registration on the electoral count, on the electoral system list, and there's no relationship in the programming whatsoever with the way the person votes and all the rest of it. How can we say this? Well, actually, I'll come on to what the Carter Centre says in a second, but all the software used in the systems, as I understand it, is open source, and so everyone can look at the entirety of the software and validate for themselves that it does what it says on the tin. That is fundamentally different from the software used in the United States and elsewhere, where it's proprietary software, commercial confidentiality, and people can't see it, which is, of course, I think, unacceptable. So you give your thumbprint, and once that confirms that you're on the electoral register, you're authorised to then go and vote. In the votes, that's electronic as well, and you vote for the person that you want to be president. Now, you're then immediately given a printed piece of paper confirming that vote, which you obviously will check there and then. So you vote electronically, and a piece of paper is printed with the vote you've given. You check yes, you're okay with that, and then you submit that piece of paper to a ballot box. And then that's the paper trail audit that is so important in this process. And then it's that paper trail that is audited by all the political parties under an agreed system, and everyone signs off that they're satisfied with that result. So once they're satisfied with that result, that's all submitted up to the National Electoral Council, and the National Council then compiles all the votes and announces the result. So this system, as it's laid out, seems fair to me, but I'm not an expert, so who is? Well, actually, in this narrow context, I think there is one body which is generally seen as an acceptable arbiter in this case, and that's the Carter Center, based in America, you know. So, your Carter Center, Jake. Well, not yours, but you know what I mean. So, Jennifer McCoy is the director of the Carter Center's America's program, and so she recently made this announcement, I think on the 17th of August. The Venezuelan electoral system is the most reliable in the world because it can be audited and verified at every stage. She went on to say, there are many mechanisms of control of system security, but the most important one is that you can verify and audit. The National Electoral Council works with the existing political parties so that they participate in all the audits. Its transparency is what gives it confidence. On an interesting side note, Jenk, which you may like, she is asked about the environment in the United States at this year's election. She said, it is heating up. One of the debates is about funding, about the controls over the ability to make unlimited anonymous donations, and over organisations that place advertising promoting a candidate. And when asked, do you think the US electoral system can be improved, she says, there are many things to be improved. One of the issues is proof of voting, because there is demand for it by people in order for the system to be trusted. Well, I think we can all say amen to that. So, over the years since Chavez became president, what has been the effect of the improvements in this democratic process? That's the litmus test, really, of all these changes. All these changes sound positive and good, but what's been the effect on the ground? Well, I know right-wingers hate reality and facts, but here's some anyway. The number of people on the electoral register was 11 million in 1998, and today, 2012, it's 19 million. That increase has been helped in no small part to the scrapping of the need to pay for an ID card used in the past to limit access by the poor. That 8 million increase is not primarily as a result of increased population, though some of it will be, but millions is a result of people becoming enfranchised when they was previously disenfranchised. They've dealt significantly with the inadequate number of voting booths. The number of voting booths is increased from 8,000 to 14,000. Again, they used to have very few in the poor areas, leading to long queues and another method of disenfranchising people. So that's being addressed, but at least partially. And the most dramatic figure, I think, the number of adults not registered to vote was 20% in 1999, and it stands at just 3% now, 2012. I mean, 3% is effectively, is so negligible as to say, well, that's 100% registration, which I think is very good. But it's definitely 97% registration anyway. So that's a significant improvement, clearly. So these figures seem to confirm the integrity and honesty of the voting system overall, something I think which could be learned, especially regarding the audit trail in the US. Finally, Jenk, I suspect you have not seen the brilliant documentary called The Revolution Will Not Be Televised, where I showed that clip from earlier. I'm confident that if you do see it, you will recognise clearly the underlying truth that the real battle in Venezuela is between the vast majority of the population versus the rich and powerful corporate and media elite. I mean, I'm willing to bet you, I don't know what, $10 that you'll be impressed and in some places shocked by the things you'll learn in that video. It's 74 minutes long, it's on YouTube, and I strongly recommend you and all others to watch it. Anyway, that's enough for now, but if this is useful, I'm happy to produce some more, and keep up the good work.